And honestly, I saw the gratification they were getting from all the work they did. And I felt like I had put so much into the work of football, but I didn't receive the gratification that all I wanted to feel is the gratification for everything that I've done. I liked the attention they were getting in the acting. I was like, oh, they can look, they can't even walk down the street.
We have a very special guest on the show with us today. He's a former NFL linebacker who is now a star on the hit show Power Book 4, Force as the dynamic Diamond Sampson on that series. Welcome Isaac Keys to The Fumble. Thank you for coming on with us.
Thank you for having me. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's a great day. I'm glad to be here.
Absolutely, man. You are in the Phoenix area now, but you're born and raised in the Lou. And I got some good family out there in St. Louis, man. Just good folks that get produced in the area. But I'm always confused by your sports affiliations coming from the city. Who are your NBA and NFL teams, man?
Honestly, for me, because I had the opportunity to play in the NFL, I don't really have one. Whoever paid my bills was my NFL team. But growing up, I was a Rams fan because when they, initially the St. Louis Cardinals way back when, then the Rams came in '96, and I became a Rams fan. Then they got plucked away to LA, and I lost that affiliation. Basketball was always just following players. I love growing up Patrick Ewing, of course, Michael Jordan. So it was always kind of in the Lakers, the old school Lakers, the Magic Lakers, the Showtime Lakers. So
you don't like the skinny Luka Lakers?
Nah, we understood the love.
How did that affect the city? I'm really curious to know, when the Rams left to go to LA, what impact did that have on the city of St. Louis?
A major impact, financially, especially because you could see how the money matriculation had changed. Having a professional football team there was a lot more jobs. There's a lot more, camaraderie, of course, and the fan base. Because St. Louis has always been known as a great fan base city, as still shows with the Cardinals. So when the Rams left, the dome's still there, and they finding ways to use that. Now we have the UFL team there. Which fans are still coming up, showing up for them. But it affected the city a lot. I mean, I'm talking to some business owners, like club owners, and they were like, man, business has just changed a lot since the Rams have left. But, we still hold on with the Cardinals. And, again, St. Louis is always a good fan base city.
We got a lot of similarities, man. There's two that really stand out. One, you my Gemini brother, okay? Gang. And then you also went to a HBCU. You attended Morehouse, which is one of the preeminent universities in all of America, regardless of whether or not it's an HBCU. I want to ask, do you think that the gap that exists between PWIs and HBCUs is further apart from when you attended today, or closer in terms of athletics and being able to attract those 4- and 5-star recruits?
That's a great question. I think at one point, I know when I was coming up, Different World, the TV series Different World, brought a lot of attention to HBCUs. It made, I think, myself and others want to attend and feel that, that energy and feel that Black excellence, right in front of each other. And, sports wise, I honestly speaking from a sport place, of course, I looked to go and want to go to Division I school and to a PWI, one of the schools, but I was played opposition and I ended up in Morehouse just kind of by coincidence almost. Now, my father wanted me to go to a HBCU. So I know we had that in there, but my first school I went to was a PWI. It was University of North Alabama, but I didn't feel that energy there. I didn't feel like it was college life to me. So I ended up transferring and applied to all the schools at AUC, Clark, Morris Brown, and Morehouse. Got accepted to Morehouse, and I ended up attending there. And of course, that tuition was like 3 times higher than it was at UNA. But it comes with a prestigious degree, and I wouldn't have changed that at all. But I think there is a disparity between the resources. And I think so a lot of times we attend HBCUs because legacy or because of the things that come along with it. But if you compare resources to some of the PWIs, then yeah, I mean, especially athletically, I mean, they're by far they're just at an upper epsilon. And I think we need to do better HBCUs using the funding, because it can be an athletic school and an academic school. It doesn't have to just be one or the other.
How does that happen? What's the first domino that has to fall in order to lessen that gap?
I think the first domino was just, as I'm starting to find out more, because I try to give back to Morehouse, and we started a Morehouse Football Alumni Association to try to fill in some of those gaps. But learning that a lot of time it has to do with the endowment of what that school puts towards athletics. They can put, some of the money towards other things, with the buildings and all necessary things for the school. But if these schools start to put more endowments and more money to athletics, it's like an investment because you can still make money off athletics. And, for those schools. But right now, especially when I look at Morehouse, we're not putting in love the resources towards athletics. When I was there, we had lesser scholarships than the other Division II schools that we had to work with. Well, our resources for our weight room and for our gyms, like that, we're not matching. And over time, they become lesser than some of the high schools in the area. But how do you get those recruits from schools to the high schools when they come see that they're going to get lesser than at a college? So it's about putting an endowment over there and, like our association, raising more money to try to put towards the program.
But we are seeing a little bit of an uptick in top athletes wanting to choose HBCUs because there's some former players coming back and coaching at some of our HBCUs. Do you feel like that's helping a little bit? Or what is it like for you to see that, though, to see players saying, I'm going to go back and give back?
I think one of the key words is seeing it. Like when you see, like people like confidence, they like being able to see achievements. And when you see a coach like Deshaun Jackson or Michael Vick, who have achieved so much in the NFL, coming back to a school, like, okay, a lot of people gravitate to like, well, I want what he's achieved, or I'm excited about how he moves and how he acts as a person and as a coach. So I think it's important as we see those things. Even at Morehouse, Terrence Mathis, former Pittsburgh Steelers great receiver, is the head coach there. But I think it's still the battle, the underlying battle that people don't see is just battling with the resources. What do you have to offer and to bring these kids because you want more? When you saw Deion down Jackson State, the allure, but Deion was bringing in money to Jackson State. Because he was Deion, he was able to get a lot of the donations, a lot of things done through even TV contracts. So it changed the game, and I think that actually was the biggest impact thus far as recent is seeing what he was able to do at Jackson State. And, I feel as though that there is an excitement about it. And what I take away from being at HBCU is the brotherhood, of and the camaraderie, being around people that look like me that are trying to achieve great things. So it makes my environment more productive, and it makes my environment something that is going to be something that's going to take me to the future. I go back to homecoming because I have friends that we're still close. I have professors, athletic directors, and people that are still like family to me, because that's what I was taking away from HBCU, that I know that my counterparts, my friends who went to PWIs, don't have those same type of relationships.
Yeah. We rely on each other in a very different way. I tell people all the time who try to argue that HBCUs aren't as necessary today as they used to be, is that is the only time in our lives where we get to exist as the majority in a space that's cultivated and curated, especially for the uniqueness of the Black experience. And you can't, without that experience, for me, having gone to North Carolina A&T State University, I don't know if I'm able to walk as proudly today if I didn't go to A&T. It changed the DNA of who I am as a Black man. And I'm so thankful for my experience. I do want to talk a little bit about a news story that broke this morning. Gambling is a huge topic right now in the world of sports. The NCAA is on the brink of allowing its student athletes as well as coaches to participate in sports gambling. But this morning we saw several members of the NBA family be arrested. Damon Jones, head coach Chauncey Billups of the Portland Trail Blazers, as well as Terry Rozier, member of the Miami Heat. What do you think about sports gambling and its impact and effect on sports culture? And do you think because gambling is so intertwined in terms of marketing and promoting on these sports platforms and with these sports organizations, that that you can take it away at this point? Is the toothpaste too much out of the tube?
I think it's just it's too many blurred lines. Like you really just don't, like before it was like no gambling. Okay, no gambling. So if you gambled, you knew there were consequences. Now because it's advertised, as you mentioned, on TV, on every platform, then it's like, okay, well, who can gamble? Who can't gamble? What state can you gamble in? Because now if you just go from one state to the other, you can gamble or you can't. So it's like I'm confused. I'm not even a gambler, and I'm still very confused about what you can and what you can't do. So I think it's unfortunate. I think there has to be more precision, and they need to be more precise about what these rules are, what people who can gamble and who they can't, and take it back there, because it's just getting confusing. Because right now I just feel like everything is such a money play. Everybody wants their hand in the pot to get money and, and try to make money off of these sports and off of these athletes. And I think at this point, it's getting a little confusing for everybody. And I think it's just kind of important to really kind of lay out the groundwork and the lines and the rules.
I saw that you did an interview, I think that was a couple of years ago with Terrell Owens, but you were talking about hitting rock bottom after this was like you were merging like football and real estate. I want to know how long after that moment that you found acting, and was acting kind of like the missing piece in your life for you?
Yeah, for me, I mean, I think we all kind of hit some point in life where it's like a big transition or a pivot point. Um, when I hit that point, it was a point of like trying to discover who I was again, like leaving one thing that I've done since I was 7 years old in football and putting all into that, not being able to express, what else I'm interested in at that time, then having the wherewithal. But it took me probably about 2 years maybe to kind of figure out what I was gonna do, like to relinquish, let football go, try to get that out of my system, 2 to 3 years, get that out of my system, and then be able to, my eyes to be open to be like, okay, well, what else can I do, or what's next, or what I'm attracted to? Because the biggest thing that we leave, this hardest thing is when you leave with all that passion, is trying to find from a sport or anything, it could be a corporate job, is trying to find what's the next thing that you can feel fulfilled in doing and not feeling inadequate or not feeling fulfilled. So acting came into play because I just was around some other actors that it's from an event. And honestly, I saw the gratification they were getting from all the work they did. And I felt like I had put so much into the work of football, but I didn't receive the gratification, that all I wanted to feel is the gratification for everything that I've done. I liked the attention they were getting in the acting. I was like, oh, they can't even walk down the street. And I was like, I'm like over here grinding so hard in football, the workouts and everything. And like, why can't I get this the position where I wanted to? I'm doing everything on my end. So, eventually I found the acting. I had to work just as hard. It wasn't like I just popped in and got this leading role. I was started completely over with no money, in a sense, couch surfing in LA, but I was able to reinvent myself in LA. Nobody knew who I was, in that sense. I could do all the grimy jobs that I needed to do to sustain and stay in a little 1-bedroom apartment for however I could, long I could. So, LA is the city of dreams, and you can reinvent yourself there. So acting pretty much in my life, because all those feelings I was feeling, I was able to learn how to use in acting class, and it became a therapy before therapy was even being talked about.
Yo, you said something. I live in LA and I'm an actor. In fact, Renelle Nicole, who was your scene partner on Power Force, is a really good friend of mine. We did a series together. And so that's family.
She's gonna love that. Look,
she lives right around the corner too. That's family right there.
Sure.
But that part of like being able to come to LA without a prior reputation, which allows you to do whatever you have to do to survive without worrying about the eyeballs that may see you in a place of vulnerability.
Man, what?
Yo, that's tough, yo.
Yeah.
Samaria, I know you haven't spent time in LA like that, but when I tell you that people are afraid to figure out how to survive because they don't want to be embarrassed by having a serving job or what, like that mental game is different.
It's different.
Different.
That is that, because playing football, nobody had a helmet on. Nobody really knew who I was. And I was always the grinder, trying to find out I'd make a team and everything. So coming out there, it was me internally. I had to let go of that ego. I had to let go of that pride. It's not everybody else. It's you personally. You have to let go of it. And if you don't do that, LA will send you back home quickly, like very quickly. So you have, everybody knows, a lot of people are trying to make it, including myself, have degrees, could go work the corporate job, but it doesn't work when you're trying to shake that gene. You can't work a 9 to 5 and still go to an audition at 8:30 or 10:30 or 12 noon. You're at your job. So you have to, that's why I become waiters and waitresses. I worked at a group home, and I worked the night shift while all the bad kids were asleep. Then when they wake up and meet some sleepwalkers at times, I'm like, hold on, wait a minute. But I worked there. I worked a security guard. I worked anything I could do security. And it's crazy because then I started getting security roles as in commercials and in TVs. And it was like, okay, this is it's weird, but it's working out. But it's about sustainability when it comes to acting, anything entertainment. How can you sustain throughout that time?
Yeah. And I know that it's probably extremely gratifying to be on a series like Power. We had Rotimi on the show a couple of months ago, and we kind of talked about how, like, once you get on Power, like, whoever your character is, that is you. Yeah. Okay. Are you Isaac or are you Diamond now?
I'm both. I'm both. I'm both. And I use Diamond to cop out of situations. Like, no, Diamond did that. Isaac didn't do that.
Gemini. He got a real name for the other side of his Gemini. I get it.
Two sides, you know what it is. So, but I'm both, and I think what allows me to really tap into diamonds because the relatability into my real life, into what that character has, and and so, and again, as we talked so much now about transition and pivoting, the character Diamond was trying to do the same thing. Like he was in a position where he didn't want to be the same person he was that he, before when he got out of prison. But if he's doing it, is he making the proper changes to do so? Or is he keeping the same environment and people around him that's not going to allow him to do it because they want to see the old Diamond. They don't want to see the new Diamond. That doesn't benefit them. And in real life, we have those things too when we transition. Like people want to keep you the same person because it benefits them. It makes them feel like secure. And when you start changing, then they like, wait a minute, you changing me now. Like, and they're not ready for it. So I believe both, and I'm okay with that, because it's a dark side to the eyes that you can't let out into the normal public and everything else that I get to use in diamonds. So I think it's important. I'm glad to have both.
Yeah, this is the final season for Power Force. As you look back and just think about the journey of bringing the character of Diamond to life, what's the thing that you are most proud of as this chapter comes to a close for you?
I think the thing that I'm most proud of with Diamond in closing is to see, of course, his evolution, his arc and honestly, the way that he has gravitated to the audience and fans have attached themselves to Diamond in a short period of time. That kind of just transcends and says that, okay, he's very relatable. He's very relatable into, what he's going through, what he wants, what he thinks he wants, and then the family dynamic, having a brother that basically tried to kill you, but you still had love for him because of family ties, because of what your father instead, said that you need to take care of him, and being that big brother that you kind of overlook all these things, and try to, I have people run some all the time, man, you need to kill your brother. You need to unalive him. And I'm like, bro, could you do that to your family member? I mean, no, not really, but you need to do that. And it's like, it's so relative because sometimes you look at family as are the first people that can bring you down if you let them because you care and you love so much. And Diamond cares and loves so much, but you see the underlying, people are just hurt. Like people hurt people, want to hurt people. And in this show, you see all the differences in what, why people are doing things really because of emotion. So I just want the fans to be able to, I just wanted to tap in. I'm proud that he's able to tap into the emotions of the fans and the audience.
And who chose Chris's ear to look like that?
The one thing about Power is not a lot of chance to do a lot of backstory as you develop characters. So they lean to this first showrunner decided that because he wanted to give background to where Diamond was a boxer, and was very good Golden Glove before he got locked up. His brother was into MMA, so his brother was into the ground and pound, and that's where he got the cauliflower ear.
The cauliflower, yeah.
I mean, we allude to that when we fight. His fighting style in the first season when we fought, his fighting style, we're doing kicks and some of those things, and mine was just straight boxing. So they allude to that, but they never really explained it. So I'm glad I'm able to tap in on that because he hated going to that chair and doing that ear all the time. He really did. Every morning he had to go get that ear done, and I'll be in the last. So, I'm glad you asked that.
So I have a question that usually Rodney asks, but I want you to shout out St. Louis a little bit. Give me your Mount Rushmore of top athletes from the city.
I mean, the most recent, of course, Jason Tatum. But I take it back to me where I grew up. It was, in learning. It was baseball. It was Bob Gibson. From my father, he was always teaching me about Bob Gibson and learning about his journey as a pitcher and being an African American man at that time of playing baseball in that period. But then going up, Ozzie Smith, Vince Coleman, Willie McGee on the baseball side for sure. Football, we got to go. I mean, we came to the Rams, Kurt Warner, Isaac Bruce, the defense, shoot, man, I really tap in there. With the Rams with everything, I enjoyed the Rams because they were kind of sparking me before I got to NFL. So that was inspiration to me. And all of this, as we talked about everything, we talked about it comes to the book that I'm getting ready to drop called The Grind Don't Stop, It Just Changes. That just, it was basically a lot of things we talked about here, but we hear football, we hear Power 4 Force, but we don't hear the stories in between it. So it allowed me to take a deep dive into the vulnerability, into the strengths, into the unidentification of knowing, self-confidence of knowing from a child all the way up to present day. So yeah. I'm excited about that. I'm nervous about that, but I feel like these stories will help others. The same way these interviews do will help others from young kids, obviously, to middle age white woman or wherever else in Indiana. So, you know, I'm just, and it's all levels, just telling the story of how the grind don't stop, it just changes.
Hey, what's one thing that you've had to unlearn that you needed to survive coming up?
Acceptance. I always kind of growing up, it was like, I wouldn't accept no for an answer when it came to okay, you're not going to make this team. Okay. All right. I'm going to do better. I'm going to make this baseball team here. Or I could, not being able to play football because of weight or just growing up, even like the answers of no. I've been told that I couldn't play my first year of football at Morehouse. I could have easily stopped playing, but I waited a spring, came out in the spring. Then they told us that, okay, if you weren't here last year, then you should go home and come out in the summer. I ignored it. I don't know what made me do. I just ignored the coach and I just kept going to spring workouts. And eventually they never said anything. And eventually I ended up starting at defensive end at Morehouse College for 3 years and breaking records and all this stuff. But I say that acceptance is no because it's my driving factor. It was like I just would reword the question or I would just keep trying. But today in this time, like that was my driving factor. But now in present day, it's like I have to learn to accept certain things, whether it's in relationships, that's just how the person is. So accept that. Don't try to change them. Or that's just what the situation is at this time, but doesn't mean it won't change. So let me continue to work on me, on myself and personally, and not trying to, change the outcome of that. Control what I can control. So my word has always been acceptance right now.
Yeah. Sounds like you've been struggling dating. I'm just
I was for a long time. I look exactly. I'm like, nah, you like that. I look at you. I felt like you can relate to that.
Oh yeah.
I said accept. You like, yeah.
For sure, man.
What you accept and what you don't is up to you. That's for sure.
Yo, setting your own boundaries is a tough thing, especially as men. It's a hard thing for us to establish boundaries with women. For me, I'll speak for myself.
I can relate. Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna close out. Isaac, thank you so much for coming on the show with us. This was great. We're excited for the final season of Power Book 4 Force in your book. Like when your book comes out, you got to come back on the show.
I got you.
So we can talk more about it.
I would love to.
Appreciate you, black man.
I appreciate y'all, man. Keep doing what y'all doing. Great.